Hey there, welcome back. So I read the top 10 Goodreads choice nominees and I have a lot of thoughts. We're going to start in order of the winners. Number one, The Last Thing He Told Me. I actually agree with this one. I gave it 5 stars. This is pretty simply, man has run away, is fleeing the law, told his wife to protect his daughter, the wife's stepchild, and she's just trying, both her and the daughter are trying to figure out why the dad it has run off, what he's running from in his past, because they don't believe it's for what the police are looking for him for. Love the family dynamic. This is a slow mystery without as many fast-paced twists and turns, but I completely agree for the winner of the Mystery Thriller Awards just because it is a mystery and I enjoy good family dynamic. Second place went to The Maidens, which I despised. I hated this book. I'm not alone in that, but apparently it's extremely mixed reviews. You either loved it or you hated it. A woman is a psychiatrist. She goes to a college campus where some women have been murdered to help her niece, who's a student there. A lot of unrealistic things happen, and she is the worst psychiatrist I've ever read in fiction. Crossing boundaries, not understanding what boundaries are, abandoning patients, and just like saying, oh, I'm being safe as I go around with my own investigation as police and campus officials have told me to stop doing. Also, I might be having dinner with a serial killer, but yeah, no, I'm totally being safe. I did not enjoy this book. It was not for me. However, let me try to think of it positive because I don't like being too negative. It's well written. It has good ideas. The idea of the maiden was great. It references to Greek mythology that was never really explored to its full extent or taken good advantage of. I enjoyed that aspect of it if it had been pursued further. This book was not for me. Next book. I paid full price for this. I didn't even read it on my library's website like most of these other books. This is my new red flag. If you enjoy this book, we do not have similar reading taste, and I don't want to say I'm judging you as a person because I'm sure you can just generally just like the book itself. But small trigger warning for anyone with sexual assault. In my opinion, Stephen King probably needs to contact a sensitivity reader or just get some advice and actually listen to his editor when it comes to writing about a rape survivor. I did not like that aspect of this book. I feel more tact could have been done. I understand everyone processes trauma and grief and assault differently, and yeah, everyone processes it differently. Everyone responds differently. I did not enjoy reading about how this person responded. I do appreciate that I thought this would be 11/22/63 vibes, where a man is hired to assassinate somebody, and I expected the assassination to take place really far at the end of the book, and just the entire book, quite thick, to be the lead up to that, living in the small town, getting to know the neighbors and all that. However, it got moving past the assassination plot at a point when I did not expect. Yeah, and then, so it was more fast-paced than 11/22/63, a book I did not really enjoy that much either. The next on this list was The Push. This book was also not for me. It is about a mother who had a daughter and that could not bond with this daughter. And then she had a son and was very well connected with the son, but she still thinks something's wrong with the daughter and the daughter's relationship with the husband, and just everyone gaslighting her, saying, no, don't think this about your daughter. She's fine. You love her. She loves you. Just work on your relationship, yada, yada, yada. This is a slow, meandering book where the plot kind of happens to the main character, and she somewhat responds to it, but not really. Suspicious thing happens. Mother thinks something bad about her daughter. Someone tells her, don't think that. Mother's just like, yeah, okay, just moving along to the next thing to happen to me. Let's not pursue this further. Let's not contact any professionals for advice. Let's just go in line with the gaslighting. What I hate most about this book is the last sentence is very captivating, and I want to know what happens after that. And that last sentence should have been the end of the first chapter of the book and continued the story from there. My opinion, just not for me. I need a little bit more direction in my plot. I need a more active protagonist. Next we have Arsenic and Adobo. This is a very cute murder mystery kind of story. I have since learned what a cozy mystery is, and that's what this is. It's a much more lighter in tone, doesn't take itself more serious, more humorous, and I definitely enjoyed the tone of it starting off, but as the story progressed, this is a woman working in a family restaurant, Filipino family, and someone ends up getting poisoned and dies at their family restaurant, and they're being investigated for the possible murder of this food critic. Yeah, so you're being accused of murder. You're at the risk of losing your family livelihood. Someone dies in front of you. There's assaults that happen in this book. There's possible police corruption, planting evidence, intimidation tactics. These are not topics that lend themselves well to a cozy tone, in my opinion. So this is definitely a me thing. It's just not, the humor with the subject matter was just clashing in a way that I wasn't able to enjoy it. So I only gave this a 3 stars, but again, this is just a not for me book. The family dynamic and relationships were definitely great. I enjoyed the writing. It was just the consistency in how characters were acting that just wasn't for me. Next we have Harlem Shuffle. Again, I enjoyed this book. It is told from the perspective of, it starts off, he's a man just selling furniture with a little bit of shady stuff going on in his business life. Yeah, I'll take that couch or that TV or those radios or whatever it is. They fell off the back of a truck. Yeah, that's fine. I can sell it. And slowly progress as he gets more involved in kind of some less honest work. So yeah, maybe this guy needs to get killed. Maybe this one needs to get blackmailed. Let's ruin this guy's life. Just slowly descending into the more criminal underside compared to trying to be a more honest family man and trying to keep those 2 parts of his life separate. The thing is, while this is very good for setting, the characters, the plots, it was slow. I didn't connect with the characters. I don't know why I did not connect with this book. That is something I haven't been able to pinpoint, but I'm leaning towards the meandering kind of plot. I didn't feel the plot had a focus. It really felt like it was just 3 separate stories with the same character, jumping a little bit around in time frames, and it does just show his life and I guess the key events that led to his descent from honest work, but just wasn't quite for me. Next, we have Apples Never Fall. I genuinely enjoyed this book by the end. I really did. I gave it 4 stars, so keep that in mind for what I'm going to say next. Because this is a book that I would not recommend anyone read physically unless they are in for an extremely slow burn. With rambling characters that feel annoyingly pointless, and it is frustrating how many times certain aspects of the story will come up, or how rambly one of the characters is. I cannot stress her tone and personality and just how she talks. I would recommend this as an audiobook that you can listen to, because eventually this rambly character I grew to love. I loved their personality. I loved how they talked. I loved how they rambled. It was key to their character. It showed how much they cared about everything in their life and the little details that they put into everything. By the end, and by the end I mean by the 80% mark, maybe closer to 90% mark, I finally was just yes, these characters are fantastic. I love them. I want them happy together and just connected as a loving family. This book is about a mother who has gone missing, and the adult children suspect possibly the father has something involved, and they're not sure if they should go to the police or not, and it's jumping back and forth in time, just telling the mother's life story while also dealing with a police investigation. And a lot of chapters are actually told from random side characters that are just overhearing parts of the children's conversation. By the end, I genuinely loved this book. It was great. The Wife Upstairs. I want to say it was a long time ago when I read this one, so I didn't reread it for this little challenge I had of reading all the books. But it wasn't quite for me. Like, the amount of red flags that the main character put off, or the love interest put off. This is a kind of, poorer woman ends up dating a man, and his wife has gone missing, and they're getting engaged and married now, and just fitting into a new life, and the husband has a secret. I enjoyed the idea of this book and how crazy it was willing to go, but I really had to turn off my brain in terms of character motivations, and the other characters in this book were so hostile to each other. Like, what is female friendships? Couldn't have that in there. No, they just gotta be catty towards each other. It's the only way this can be written. Yeah, so retelling of a Jane Eyre book, I'm not ever sure I'm really going to get around to reading Jane Eyre, just because I really didn't enjoy this book, and I got a feeling it's going to be similar, just slower paced. Next, we have Rock, Paper, Scissors. This is one of my favorite books of the year. I'm sad that it's so far down in this list, but I really enjoyed this book. I enjoyed the writing of it. It had a horror-ish atmosphere to it. Basically, a couple has gone to a abandoned church turned Airbnb that is creepy as hell. I mean, it's so creepy there. In hopes of strengthening their marriage, and each chapter is separated. There's in between chapters have a letter that the wife has written to the husband on their anniversary, so it shows key moments of their relationship where they've grown, trials, tribulations, hard times, love and care, all that kind of stuff is all wrapped up in these letters. So I became really, really invested in the couple. However, each one has a secret, and you feel like you're missing something, and then by the end, it really, really goes crazy. The beginning portion is slow, and it wasn't that it was hard to read, but I wasn't invested, really. So every time I put the book down, it took me a while to pick it back up again. However, I'm not sure what percentage mark, I definitely was invested. And the writing and the atmosphere and the tone did keep me coming back during the beginning of the novel. Next, we have Razorblade Tears. My God, I love this book. Action-packed and probably the most violent book I have read. Definitely the most violent book I've read this year. Possibly the most violent book I've read in my life. Two ex-cons who were terrible homophobic fathers. Their kids, their two sons, got married, had a child together, and then were murdered. And the fathers, no longer able to reconcile with their sons, feel guilty for this. They genuinely love their sons, even if they couldn't accept them at this time. They figured eventually they would grow to become close again, repair their relationships, and now they can't. So they go off and get revenge for hunting, and they're hunting down the people who killed their sons. And through that, they realize how they should have accepted them. They should have been better fathers. But the book never excuses what they did and how they treated them. They are made out to be and accept that they were terrible fathers, and they should have done better. They should have treated them better while they were alive. And this is a quest for revenge and to let them kind of rest in peace, but they know it's not actually going to make a difference. Next was Local Woman Missing. This was almost my favorite book of the year. Almost. For 75%, it was easily my favorite book of the year. 3 women have gone missing. Technically 2 women and a child. Very close together. They've all gone missing close together, and the community is wondering whether or not it's connected. It's told from multiple point of views, both before the kidnapping, missing person, a little bit after they've gone missing, and then I think 11 years later. And it is intense and brutal and twisted and fast-paced social commentary. I adored this book. However, the last 25% ruined it, and I almost gave it a 1 star because of it. But for my respect for the first 75% of it, that was 5-star favorite ever. I gave it overall like a 4-star. This book completely dropped the ball for me in the ending. I hated that ending. It took every aspect of the book that I loved and just reduced it to plot convenience and just did a simple, straightforward ending when it could have done pretty much anything else. Everything made sense, and it was kind of like, I like when a book kind of goes crazy because I can't expect all the twists and turns that happened. But as soon as it was set up and revealed what happened, I'm just like, this is what we're doing? All this buildup led to this? These character motivations don't make sense anymore. What about all this other stuff? Was that just not important? Yeah, it was just a plot convenience. Yeah, it was just a red herring. None of this mattered to the actual ending and what we were building towards. It just made me sad. Very sad. So let's do a wrap up in terms of how I enjoyed the Goodreads Choice winners, or nominees, because there's 10 of them. So I really enjoyed or loved 5 of the Goodreads Choice Awards. I actively despised 3 of them, and another 3 were kind of just okay, wouldn't care if I read them or not. I'll probably do this again next year, but looking back on how my ratings with previous Goodreads Choice Award winners and just nominees have gone, it seems that I never like the first 5 on the list, really. But it was a fun time. I'm happy I did this. You can check out the reading vlog where I kind of went through each book generally in about the same level detail, maybe a little more. Just my thought process as I was halfway through the books, or partway through books, basically. That's all I got. All right. See ya.